Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Gibson. I am the creator of Norm Therapy. Welcome today. We're here with Montez. We're here on a live stream for the first time, his first episode. And we're going to learn a little bit about Montez
Hello,
and
everyone. My name is
and the
Michael.
kinds of things we need to do in order to get Montez acquainted with.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michael
I am
Gibson.
trying
I
my.
am the creator of Norm Therapy. Welcome
Okay.
today. We're here with Montez. We're here on a live stream for the first time, his first episode. And we're going to learn a little bit about Montez and the kinds of things we need to do.
Give me one second,
order to get
everybody. It's
Montez
just in a loop, a
acquainted
mad
with.
loop
Hello,
here.
everyone. My name is Michael Gibson.
Can you all hear me now? Good, good. Sorry about that. That's me and my operator headspace. Sometimes I can have an open screen to where we're going, and it'll create its own screen when you click on that button. But I think I have that down to a science now. But getting back to our introductions, Montez will be here, and he'll find out a lot about what we do here at Norm Therapy. Plus, we'll talk and find out a lot about Montez. Our objective is to help him battle some issues of his life. He's had quite the life. I think you'll be very interested in finding out more about him. Remember, we're not traditional therapists and in any respect. You need to go to our website and go to abuserefuge.org slash policy or slash disclaimer or any of our other documents that we're required by law to have posted, and check out who we are, what we represent, what we can do and what we cannot do. We're not here to cure anyone. We're only here to help you find ways to help yourself. And I think we've been very good at it. We have hundreds, if not even thousands, of testimonials from around the world from people over the past 5.5 years who attest to what we do and its veracity. And not only that, but its effectiveness. So thank you very much for being here today. And I want to ask Montez to come on camera with us and introduce you all to Montez. Hey, Montez, how are you today? Good to see you finally.
Oh, sir, good to see you too.
Wonderful, wonderful. You are, and I've met you a few times, so I won't, play dumb like some people say, oh, I never met the guy, I don't know. But I actually have met you, and I actually like you as a person. I think you, for the show that we all put on with one another, that perfunctory show when we just meet somebody, we like them. For that superficial like, I do like you. Now, for a deeper like, I do like you still because we've had some deeper conversation as well.
Yes, sir.
So that's a good thing. And when I say like, it doesn't mean that, oh, I trust you, I get it, and you just don't ever tell me lies, and we're always going to be, buddy, buddy. And we're not there yet, but that's my objective, to get us there. Okay. So
Okay.
the three major tenets, I was going to say torments. Oh my God. The three major tenets of Norm Therapy are clarity, assessment, and truth. So clarity is what we are trying to do. We're going to ask you questions and interview in a style and technique very unique to Norm Therapy, where we help you figure some things out about you, the actual absolute clearness and clarity of you. And then once we see that without all the mucks and the pulled out wires and all the gunk and everything that we try to extricate, like the jaws of life that they use on a fire truck, the jaws of life, and try to cut it out and get you out of that smashed vehicle and the airbag and bust it and just grab you out. The same thing we'll do when we're assessing you. We clarify and then we assess what we're clarifying. So we just kind of get rid of stuff that is useless to you. And I don't mean off of your countenance or out of your soul or out of your memory. Just get it out of your way. You want to get those things out of your way. You can never unremember something or just forget it because someone suggests it. You have to work it out of your system and put it in a place where you can catalog it where it doesn't interfere with your growth. It doesn't interfere with your progress, and it doesn't interfere with your health. That's what we're going to do. We're going to try and get there. And then our last step is truth. Outside of getting all of that gunk and mess and faulty wiring out and just ripping it out and seeing a new circuit board and new wires and everything all oriented and tacked down. Once we get you there, then we can look at what we've pulled out, put it aside, and then we can find between what you have left and what we've pulled out, and we can find truth within those cords, within those threads. And that is what you live by. You live by your own truth, not a manufactured truth, but a kind of a filtered truth, because you filter your lies with truth. Remember, truth stands on its own, Montez. You don't have to prop it up. You don't have to remember it. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to refer back to some note. Nothing. The truth is all by itself and it stands on its own. So it's just what comes out of your mouth should be truthful. And you will find that your existence with truth will become very pleasing after a while. You may not see it in the beginning because we don't like telling ourselves the raw truth. We just don't like it as humans. But when we do hear it, it makes it more easy to digest and to get accustomed to. So I'm going to ask you some questions now with that preface and just preparing you. Today, this particular day about Montez, how do you feel, sir?
Today, I don't feel that I am at my potential. I'm not feeling too good about myself today.
Okay. There's a good rule of thumb. Let's stay in the affirmative, and then we'll go into the negative about negative questions. Let's go in the affirmative. And I don't mean say something good. You know, I ask you about your day. Tell me, was your day a day that you operated as Montez?
It was.
Okay. And is a normal thing for Montez to have a bad day?
I would say 50-50.
Okay. That's a walking the fence kind of answer, but we'll accept that because we're in the beginning of this. So,
Okay.
Excuse me. So 50-50. So 50% of you say of your day was terrible and 50% was okay. So you live in a balancing act of 50-50. Is that correct to assume?
Yes, it is actually. I
So tell
have
me,
to.
why is that? Tell me what that 50-50 look like to you.
Well, because it could be that I wake up in the morning and something critical or detrimental to productivity isn't going to be like on my side.
On your
That right
side, be
there.
like accomplished by you?
Well, not when I say on my side, I mean it's like yesterday I planned it and it's all worked out. Well, today it's not going to work out, and it's actually working against me because it's
What?
not. You know what I
What is working
mean?
against you?
Um, anything that I try to do, that I know that I'm supposed to do that's good and wholesome, it doesn't always. Sometimes it's rotten, and I thought it was going to be good and
Are you a
wholesome, and
rotten person, Montes?
I'm not. I have rotten thoughts sometimes.
Okay, well, normally people with rotten thoughts are rotten people, but people with
Oh,
good thoughts are good people. Since you're 50-50, you're half rotten, you're half good. Is that it?
okay. No,
Which is, of
no. I'm not a rotten. I'm not a rotten person.
course
Um,
not. So
but
let me ask you this.
yes,
If you're not rotten and you're having rotten thoughts and then your outcomes are rotten, doesn't that kind of make you rotten a little bit?
yes,
Yeah, it does. So
yes.
it's okay to be rotten about part of self and then not rotten about the other part of self. That's the whole battle of life. The
Right.
whole game of life is you have the forces of good and evil within you. Everyone in the entire world has that. So if you feel rotten, own it. The only way you're going to ever control it and feel better about it if you face it and own it. Can't run away from it. You can't keep avoiding it. You can't
Mhm.
just have a bad day and let that just be. You have to do something about it. And we're going to talk about that. So, but it's okay to be rotten. Do you read the Bible?
I haven't. I know the Bible forward and backwards.
Okay, well, then you know chapter 7 of Romans. Romans chapter 7. Romans chapter 7 is about the battle between good and evil. It is. This is not a sermon today, but there's a verse in there that which I could do or should do, I do not, and that when I shouldn't do, I do. All those things, that whole thing. You ever see the Flintstones, the
I
cartoons of
did.
Flintstones? And you know
Yes, sir.
when, not Barney, what's the other guy named? Fred. You know, when he goes out and he really wants to go to the bowling alley, but his wife, Wilma, sends him to the store. But he wants to go to the bowling alley with his buddies. He's got all this stuff in the car. And then this little bitty angel pops on his shoulders and says, hey, you need to get home to Wilma. She's waiting on you. She's prepared dinner, and you can't slip out on her again like that. Then this little devil pops up over here and he says, forget Wilma. But don't worry about it. She'll forgive you. Just let it go. Go out into the bowling alley. Be with your boys. Have a few beers. That is that war that happens within all of us every day of our lives, no matter what. So what you're describing is biblical. By proportion, it's biblical, but it's not unfixable. You can do things about it. It's who you subscribe to. It's which of those entities, the devil or the angel or the good or the evil or the failure or the success or the good or the bad or the useful or the useless, is who you to subscribe to. That matters.
Yeah.
And if you subscribe, normally people subscribe to the lesser of the two, which is normally the bad thing, because of low self-esteem, because a sense of not being able to accomplish, a lack of knowledge. Doesn't mean you're dumb. It just means you have a lack of knowledge in that area. And some people like to think that if you say they have lack of knowledge, that you think that they're dumb. That's never the definition in my book. It's about, we're all dumb about something until we're not. Until we're not. Now, you can fix dumb. I don't know anything about sports cars or fixing those engines. But if I learned and took a course, I would know something about it. So I'm no longer dumb. I may not be an expert, but I'm no longer a neophyte either. I'm no longer considered dumb in that area. But if I go and get a wrench and start just unscrewing stuff on a sports car, not knowing anything about it, just thinking I can take it apart and put it back together, then that's called stupid. There's a difference between dumb and stupid. Sometimes stupid you can't fix. Anybody stupid enough to go and start taking something apart and have no idea what they're doing to put it back together or to make it run again, especially at the loss of life or the loss of money or the loss of time, that's kind of stupid. Now, they can be educated in that, and then they can be tested in that area again in order to figure out if they're going to make the same type of choices. And another thing that would be stupid is to go without, learning anything and try to take it apart again. Oh, I got it this time. Let me try and take it apart. That's stupid. But what's dumb and what's stupid are not the same things. I don't think there's anything stupid about you. What I think is, I think the stupid things you've done in your life have chalked up against you. But no, I don't think in your educational prowess or your abilities to assert and do just based on my initial conversations with you, I don't think at all that you are stupid. I'll take that out of something you need to defend your ego on for the rest of our sessions. But you do dumb things and you have done stupid things. But we'll put it in that context for this conversation and the ones before. Most things happen to people in life because they let them happen. So when you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, so to speak, like today, what could you have done differently? What time is it? 6 p.m. there now, correct?
Correct.
6:15, somewhere there, 6. Okay.
Yeah.
What in your mind, looking back at your day, could you have done differently?
I have a problem with losing hope in the wrong times. And so if I could have done something different, maybe I could have held my chin just a little bit higher.
Okay. So this is a battle within yourself that you're having, not with people around you. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. But now that doesn't mean that people around me aren't creating what I gotta go through in myself because I want to do right or do wrong. But the issue is me.
You're trying to sound innocent and guilty at the same time. You got to stop walking that line. Jump on one side or the other. Are you guilty of that, or are you innocent of that?
Um, that's the thing. When I think I'm right, I'm wrong. You said Romans chapter 7. I want it tattooed on the back of my back because I know it very well and I love it, and that's me. And I don't know.
Well, can I help you define?
Sure.
Because I'm outside looking in, so I can be more objective than you are.
Yeah.
And there's a there's a writing that I want you to read during this our sessions,
Okay.
and kind of get familiar with it. And it's called Dunning-Kruger. There's a Dunning-Kruger effect going on here, and you need to
Okay.
know. When you start thinking of yourself for anything, good or bad, smart or dumb, doesn't matter. Whenever you think of yourself and you're trying to self-evaluate about something, you're always going to have biases. You're always going to have your own opinion already predetermined about you. And it's always going to be inaccurate. More than likely, it's going to be inaccurate. It's not going to be correct because you see yourself as the greatest guy on earth. Or sometimes you see yourself as the worst human being that's ever walked the earth.
Yeah.
So that's not fair to you when you self-assess. It's like me going to my doctor and he's telling me, well, you broke your femur. I say, yeah, but I think it's more of a hairline fracture here on my knee that's bothering me. And he's the doctor with the x-ray in his hand, looking right at it. And I'm telling him it's my knee. He's saying my femur's broke. You get it?
Yeah.
So when you self-evaluate, more than likely you're going to be wrong because you're already your built-in biases. You have those. It's obvious we all have them, but you have those. And you've not yet dealt with those just by this conversation. You believe that you wake up in your day and that lack of dynamism or being dynamic and being a part of your solutions of the day and being forthright and correct. And even if your day doesn't go well, as you said earlier, you hold your chin up high and you still move forward in that fight. It hurts you not to wake up in splendor and in success and in something to look forward to. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And if that's true, the inverse must also be true, or the opposite should be true, because that's how it works. Yin and yang, up and down, left and right, finite, infinite. It works that way. There are two ends to everything, not that finite and infinity, but definitely there are normally two ends to everything. Then we would get into quantum if we went to finite and infinity, but it's still the same thing. They say that sometimes when you're forgiven, you have to forgive yourself as far as east is to west. And that's a long way because it keeps going. It never comes back together. So that's a long way for self-forgiveness. But it's impossible, and we're incapable of humans to forgive ourselves correctly until we do what, Montez? Until we do what? What do you think we need to do to be able to forgive ourselves?
Forgive others first.
No, not necessarily, although that's a good idea, but not first. I think you should always forgive yourself first. But what you need to do is know exactly what it is you're forgiving. Once you have knowledge, remember in the beginning of this conversation, knowledge is everything. Knowledge is your key to all things you want out of life. Not because you don't know them and going to find knowledge. It's because the knowledge you seek is mostly already within you. You never have anything too heavy on you cannot handle. It's just how you look at it and how you deal with it that grants you the facility to handle it. It grants you the strength. It grants you the courage, the intestinal fortitude, the grit to handle it.
Right.
You wake up mad at yourself because you don't move like, Muhammad Ali in a fight when you're fighting life. You're kind of moving like you're a contender, but you're not the champ.
Yeah.
And that can hurt. That can hurt you if
Yeah.
you believe you're on the failing side of things or the losing side of things. So what I want you to do when you wake up in the morning is do yourself one favor. It's not going to work yet. Just try it.
Okay.
Stop caring. Literally stop caring if it's a good day or a bad day, because your day should never be measured in terms of good or bad, up or down, left or right. The only ways you should ever determine anything you're about to do, especially how your day will fall out and will exist after you have gone through it, is what is useful in your day and what is useless. When you can figure out what is useful to you to do that day and make it a part of how you get through that day, look for useful things to do for you. Look for useful things to do for others. And I'll give you a few examples. Is it useful for you to lay there and feel bad about yourself and lose hope? Or is it useful to get up anyway, shuck that feeling, and walk through your day, however blind or deaf you are about your day, and just have something to do other than feeling sorry for yourself? Which is more useful to you?
Getting up.
Now, that's something you're saying now to me in agreement. So we both understand, you've acquiesced to this agreement that getting up is useful. That's a huge step for a person who can't get out of bed or feel bad about themselves. But since the key to you getting out of the bed is just getting up, just standing up, is sometimes, 50% of the race. It's just standing up. And stop the self-pity. If worrying and self-pity and losing desire to move, if that could help anything, everybody would be doing it and nothing would ever happen on the planet. But since it doesn't help a thing, it doesn't support any known principle of life to just feel bad about yourself and don't do anything right thereafter. It's never supported one premise anywhere in the world. Nothing in history has ever happened good for anybody who doesn't participate in life. Nothing good, unless their parents die and leave them $1 million. And then that's not even good because they don't feel good about themselves. So they're darn sure not going to treat that money well. So it may catapult them into another extreme once they spend it all and run out of it. You don't know, whatever that outcome is. So it's always better to do something about something instead of nothing about it. And you've been doing nothing. That's why it's a choice. You made it a choice to be feeling good or feeling bad. You made it, and you keep choosing bad. You get to say, matter of fact, you have the permission. No one's ever sat you down as a little boy, and we're going to talk more about your past in a few minutes. No one ever sat you down as a little boy and explicitly said, Montez, listen to me, young man. This is right. This is wrong. This is character. This is lack of character. This is strength. And a person can't be as strong as you are, and you don't need them around you. If they can't rise to your occasion of who you are, you don't need them around you. Yeah. But if they're there and they got your back and they're loving you and treating you like the human being you should be, or even tolerating you. How can I tolerate a person in my house or my bed that can't move or stifle themselves because I feel like I'm having a bad day. Now, that could be called whining in some cases, but it could be a deeper condition as well. It could be something deeper going on inside of you, which we will explore, I promise you. And it could be a lot of things. But on its surface, when somebody's looking at it, you have to discern and pay attention how you affect people. Do you like somebody calling you names and talking bad about you? Do you like somebody standing over you, trying to lord over you their pain and make you feel their pain?
No.
Do you like someone lying to you or making excuses to you why they cannot do something? Then don't do it to anybody else if you don't like it. That's what you do when you wake up like that. That's exactly what you do. You take them into your soliloquy of terror and horror and problem and doldrum of hell. You bring them right into that. And is that fair?
Nope.
No, it isn't. So, but you have to sometimes say these things out loud. Because if you don't, you just, there's a word and I'm gonna explain it to you because it's not normally used in the English language. I don't hear it often, but it's a word called perfunctory. Are you familiar with perfunctory?
I am.
Good. Then you understand. If you're doing perfunctory things where they become an automatic response or automatic reaction to something, instead of your sincere and the correct response to it, and you just have this, okay, we're gonna have the Smiths and the Jones over today. You know we don't like them, so let's treat them the best we can. Hi, how are you? Good to see you. Great. There you go. That you don't mean any of it. That perfunctory behavior that you have when you're feeling down and bad, based on how you woke up today, that can't be healthy for you, nor can it be healthy for anyone else. So let's talk about your life for a couple of minutes if we can. Can we do that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Talk about your life. Take 10 minutes for me.
Okay.
For as long as you like, really. But for the sake of our audience and the time that we have, take a few minutes and tell me, just read me your life from your earliest memory till right now, but take no more than 10 minutes. And you can speak fast as you want and try not to stay on any topic for any long period of time. Just highlight me through your entire life.
Okay. I was born in 1983. I was born with crack cocaine in my system. I lived in Benton Harbor, Michigan in the projects. Um, I was born in Indiana, back and forth from Michigan to Marion, Indiana. Um, my mother was a crack addict. I had at the time I'd already had a brother that died that was born in like 75. Um, I had my big sister, then my two brothers, one older, one younger. We had to go to our grandparents. We got to our grandparents. Not only were we very poor, my grandparents coming from the South, um, but we were passed around. Nobody wanted the responsibility of 4 other kids, and most times it was 11 of us on a pallet on the floor, in front of a kerosene heater. Um, my dad was not given permission to see me and my brother, who we only myself and my little brother are the only two that have the same father. He wasn't given permission to see us. Um, it was about money. He was paying child support, but no, I guess it was vindictive. I don't know where anybody's head was at with that. But all the way up until my great grandmother died, and then I started getting in trouble. I started lashing out in a way where the court system had to get in come into play.
You
And
became a criminal.
yeah, I became a criminal, but
Keep going.
I was trying to. I didn't know how else to get to my mom. See, I wanted my mother, and I felt like that. And I can remember being 10, 11 years old and saying, hey, if I act up bad enough, I know they're going to send me to my mom, me not knowing my mom was strung out in Chicago. And so, yeah, I became a criminal. My juvenile,
Delinquent.
excuse me.
Delinquent.
Oh yeah, I got a DLC number at 13.
There you
Um,
go.
I yeah, I went through a whole bunch of that, like half of my life. I was tried as an adult at 15 and had to go to prison in the state of Indiana in the 9th grade. Um, I shot my best friend over nothing.
Where'd you
Um,
shoot him? Where'd you shoot him?
well, I caught him in his hip,
Okay.
and I got lucky because in the state of Indiana, below the waist it would only be considered criminal recklessness. Above it was attempted murder, and so I didn't. He has an impediment now where he has to swing his leg around, but I got a 3 to 8, and I ended up going to prison over there. I ended up going to prison there, and I did some gang banging
Hold on a second. I want to back up. You said you got lucky when you shot him below. Was it Was it real luck? Those sound like some big ass dogs. But was it luck, or was it uh, fortuitous? Because luck would denote a sense of goodness, somebody like that, and fortuitousness for you would denote a sense of that you got away with something that you otherwise should have been more punished for because you did shoot him.
Well, it was a in my situation, I was doing what I thought a man would do
Shoot
at,
somebody.
at 15, and I didn't. I understood, man. I was smart, and I don't mean to blow my own horn, but I was smart enough to know. But I had these. I was my thinking was distorted, and I lived my life off of beliefs that only kids can conjure up. And so I don't. I think it was a situation where all I can say is God was with me. I don't think that I deserved.
Okay. Let's just keep going. I just want to give us a highlight. We'll get into each one of these aspects in great detail over time. The
Yes,
biggest problem people have with any kind of therapy is they think they get in. It's like going to church or synagogue or the mosque. You go
yeah,
in and you're the most pious and humble human being on the planet, and then you get your word for that day or that week, and then you
yes,
go out and do the same crap that you did all last week, and then you go in the next Sunday or Saturday, and you're looking for repentance, you're looking for atonement, you're looking for a lot of things so you can continue your charade of life. People
mhm,
do that. So let's not just gloss over some of the things that or the solutions that you're offering to what you thought. Or let's look at those, and we're going to examine those. And they may just very well be the solutions. You maybe, maybe, but because you're sitting here and because you're still at odds with most of these things, chances are they're not.
yeah,
And so we're just going to help you find your own clarity. Remember, norm therapy is not about Michael and his clarity or my normal. It's not
mhm,
about me. It's about your normal and
okay,
you finding what your normal should be, that it's not right now because it's not normal to be in the chaos and turmoil that you're always in. That's not normal by anyone's measure on the planet.
no,
So it's not normal. So we're going to help you find a normal that you can live with and operate within and still be the same guy, but
yeah.
make better decisions and choices as a result. So now you became criminal. You got your delinquency number at 13. What happened next?
I stayed in juvenile Department of Corrections till I was in the eighth grade. I got out of the facility. I went to a group home. I was having a whole lot of child delinquent charges, status offenses in terms of delinquency. So I was sent to a group home up in Indiana, and it wasn't the best situation for my ethnicity. Um, I
They
dealt
sent you
with a
to a
lot.
white camp.
They sent me to a camp that was the pond was an Indian burial ground, and it was mostly white people, and the town was very clannish. Like this is the outfit for the day to put a clan suit on. Place called
Okay.
Wabash, Indiana, and
Yeah, I know Wabash.
I
Interesting.
went there, and I became an athlete. I was a weightlifter. I was a star track. I went to the state in track. I was an honor roll. I was a power forward on the basketball team at 5'7".
Oh,
Um,
you're
but
killing
then,
it.
yeah, I that was some of the best in my life. But then I was in the girls a little too much, and it was a co-ed camp, and I decided that I wanted to be grown, and I got kicked out, and they sent me back to DOC. I stayed there 3 months. I went through unimaginable abuse from the correctional officers.
Like what? The whole idea of norm therapy is about abuse. So what kind of abuse did you experience?
Oh man, can you
You can be
imagine
specific.
Well, I got my chin busted on the toilet because I didn't get off my bed quick enough and put my hands on the wall fast enough before the COs could get in there. They were we're going to beat you, and the main goal is to beat you, to beat you down. So if you don't get off that bed fast enough before the doors open, we're going to split your chin, and that's what they meant, your chin on the toilet.
Okay.
And
How many times did that happen to you?
every day almost. I mean, they didn't always split. They caught me on the toilet a couple times, but most times I was PRT'd a lot. I was
PRT, what does that mean?
a physical restraint technique.
Okay.
I was PRT'd a whole lot. That's because I wasn't going to shut up.
Okay.
I wasn't going to stop, and I didn't care if I lived. I didn't care if you hurt me. I went out a soldier.
And that was more important to you than having peace within yourself and power to not undergo the types of PRT activity around you, the physical restraining. So you weighed things in a way that kept you your honor in prison, but it got your ass beat every time.
Yeah, but it
Okay.
taught me every time.
Well, yeah, of course it did, but we'll talk about that too. But just highlighting. So now you're in prison and you're about to get out. What have you learned in prison at that
So,
point, up to that point?
well, up to that point, I still was a kid. I ain't learned nothing. All I learned was everything that Tupac rapped about in that song, or Master P, because this was the '90s. Everything they talked about, I just went and did it, and I didn't change, and I didn't come out different. I came out worse. I didn't learn anything.
Yeah, Master P and Tupac was making money, and so they're gonna say whatever they think you need to hear
Yeah,
in order to buy their records and like their songs.
yeah,
Now, there's an element in hip hop of sincerity. The one thing I like about the genre of hip hop or rap, if you will, um, the one thing I do like about it is young black men can express themselves. And and nowadays it's ridiculous, they talk about eating a woman out on stage and all that kind of crap. It's kind of degrading. Matter of fact, it
yeah,
is degrading. But
yeah,
back in the day, there was messaging associated with that, as with most new art forms, there's always a message. And I think we got lost in that message when we prostituted the the rap genre, and we changed the imaging of it to
yeah,
something negative instead of something uplifting and powerful. But that's a whole nother conversation, which we will have. I listened to Tupac too back in the day, and I know Tupac. So, and I mean, he was prolific. He was a great thinker, really was, and he looked at things from a very raw point of view. Do you look at things from a raw point of view when it comes to your life? Do you break
I,
it down like Tupac did in the song?
I do. I think almost too raw. To the point where I'm not happy if no one else can see it as raw as I'm seeing it.
Mhm. You can't be unhappy about that. Are you saying you're not happy, so you're unhappy that someone can't see what you see?
Yeah.
Why do you think you feel that?
Well, I mean, because I know that we are individuals and no two people are alike. But I feel like if I have the sense of mind to know, if I have the sense of mind to see it, I think the next person should too. If you're a human being like me, common sense is what they call it
They
in my
do.
world.
You're right. They do call it common sense. And whatever is commonsensical is based on one word, and that's common. So what's common for you may not be common for the person you're expecting to understand it.
Right.
Like, what's not common for you, for instance, if I asked you what was the dichotomous behavior of the people around you who actually displayed the inability to agree with you or be in line with your statement that you just made, can you spell that out to me?
Can I spell what
Can you
exactly
tell me
out?
what that means?
You said it a little too fast first.
Exactly. No, let me explain something. I'm going to show you something. I
Yeah,
said it in a way that was highly technical, and I used some $3 words in there as
yeah,
well. And because you don't know it,
yeah,
and I think you should because you got common sense, and so do I, then I just prejudged you about something that you would not know about because in my circles we use words like dichotomous and different other type of competencies in speech that we use in order to define things, the bifurcation, the ethnomethodologies. We use those terms because it's indicative of my environment and the common things that we discuss in our environment. So in your environment, brother, I'll be just honest with you, and you say, I'm going to be mad at you because you don't know what I know. I mean, you've been
yeah,
through hell, buddy. I mean, you didn't just go through hell. You went through a whole different kind of education. And you may have
yeah,
heard principles and you may have understood different ways of getting things done. You may have you may have gone through a different type of conditioning than the person next to you. And it's
yeah,
not that they're dumb. It has nothing to do with them being stupid. It has nothing to do with anything. It's just your cognitive interpretation of them being wrong for not knowing what you know, and they have no experiences to know what you know. So it's not common sense. It's your sense, brother, being
yes,
forced upon them.
yes,
So if they don't comply with the way you think, without your giving them any teaching, any understanding, any participation, any explanations, any recounts of that experience, without you giving them anything, just expecting that it should be common, you're hurting them. And more importantly, you're hurting yourself and your potential relationship with them, be it your mother, father, sister, brother, kids, be it your wife, be it your best friend, be it, I don't want to be your best friend because you just shot him, but I'm just kidding. But you understand? So if be it any of those people, they'll never measure up to what you think they should be because you're basing them on you
yeah,
instead of basing them on themselves. You have to
yeah,
stop to take the time to think about who they are and who you are affecting in that statement. If you believe that somebody should be on par with you, correct, and right there, your ace boon coon, your right hand person, and they should already ride or die, should be right there next to you and know the things you know without you conveying anything,
mhm,
without you having seen if they even agree with you or care if they even agree with you. Your way or the highway. And
yeah,
that can't be. That can't be true. But if it is true, that means that, and I need to say this without effing up your manhood, that's kind of stupid. You're too smart for that. Sometimes we choose stupid things to do. Why? Why do we choose it? Because it's easier.
yeah,
It's easy to just say, agree with me and shut up.
yeah,
Do it my way. It's easier to do that than to have explained it, have been conditioned with that person to understand, to get on your team. People jump on your team because they want to be there, not because you force them to be there. You'll never be able to lead your way through a wet paper bag if you do that. If you're going to be the head of a household, a head of a family, a head of a job, a head of a community, whatever you're going to be the head of, if you don't have some element of you that leads by example and accept people where they are, you'll never be able to serve anyone. Only the people who agree with you.
yeah,
Sound like fascism, sound like Nazism, sound like, autocrat, like, I'm Adolf Hitler in this house. That's what it
yeah,
sounds like. You agree with me?
yeah,
I'm exterminating you. That's wrong. But if you have to live that, Montez, if you had to live this way and be that you follow me and you do it my way, let's get it done. And people just soldiered up and they followed you. Like you said, I was a soldier. Now, in the realest sense of the word, I was a soldier. I went to wars. I was in special forces. I'm a U.S. Army Ranger. I'm scuba. I was the first black guy to graduate scuba school in 1960, since 1966. Since that day, no black people had gone through scuba school in the U.S. Army until me when I went through. Because blacks can't swim, remember? Special Forces scuba school is the hardest thing on the planet. I went into operational areas where untold things happened, and many things that many of my brethren can only look at and say, wow, we did that. You know, when you're young, you think you can do everything. And when you think you got a plan for anything, just wait till a bullet starts flying. That plan goes out the window. And everything goes down to intentions after that. So I'm a real soldier. These soldiers and gangs, they use that terminology for a reason, because they can usurp or they can copy the discipline and the policy and the loyalty and the actual esprit de corps. And they can copy all of the principles and put that in a criminal element and say, follow these rules. Where there's no tradition and culture and history to support that. But since we don't know better, because that's why we're in the game, because we don't know better, we don't have someone we can turn to, we don't have family we can depend on, we just have our gangs and our community that we created in our gang. So we adopt the terminology, we adopt the process of real soldiers, real people who have put their lives on the line for others. The Special Forces Creed is de oppresso libera. It's a Latin, it's a term, and you know what it means?
Nope. What does it mean?
It means free the oppressed. Help people, die for people, fight for people, find freedom for people, find democracy, find whatever they need to advance as a people. And do it with extreme prejudice. That's what a soldier is about: honor, integrity, respect, trustworthiness, being good, being strong, doing the right things, being disciplined. It's a lot more to go to soldier than just the title. And a lot of people think they're soldiers. And you're not wrong for believing you were a soldier, because in the element you were in, if you weren't a soldier, you were beat down. Am I correct?
Man, that's the least.
You were conditioned to believe this. Forgive me for saying this is not about your manhood or your life, but this falsehood. You were conditioned to believe that I had to be a soldier. So bust my chin, beat my ass every day, but I'm a soldier. Which did what? It conditioned you to more pain. It conditioned you to more failure, lack of discipline, lack of understanding, lack of participation, lack of caring, lack of kindness, lack of self. It conditioned you to this. You didn't do anything wrong, brother. That ain't your fault. You're a kid in jail. Something influenced you to get in there. And it wasn't just you. Now, our environments predict most of our lives. You can have twins or triplets grew up in the same house. One will be a doctor, one will be a bum, and the other one will probably be a farmer on some commune with people who decided to join a cult.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're triplets, they're identical, and they grew up in the exact same house, same parents, same gifts, same money, same strides, everything. Same clothes, because people like to dress triplets and twins alike. So they grew up with all that. Yeah. But yet they turn out three distinct people. There's a reason for that, because our environments are most powerful to us as well as our interests. And when our interests are peaked in one area for one person and they're peaked in another for another, that is called from the same, it's called a bifurcation. You bifurcate, you split, you fork in the road. And that's what happened to you. I mean, no one wanted to keep you as a kid. Think about that for 10 seconds. Think about it. Don't just say it because it's a part of your sob story, because you have a sob story. You really do. Get your napkin out. When we start talking about it in depth, to get that whole tissue and handkerchief out and wipe the corner of your eyes, because it's gonna be devastating. You do have that. Yeah. But you were ostracized as a kid. You were kicked around. You were a crack baby. Your brother died, who was otherwise born in 1975, I guess as a result of some type of crack association. or some negative associations associated with people who do crack and lose themselves in crack. And so you go through all of this as a young boy and you see it. And what does that become? It becomes normal. It becomes normal that, excuse my expression, that I don't even want to use it. I'll just say crap happens to you. We'll get into me saying shit and other stuff like that later. But crap does happen to you. It does. It just falls in your lap as a 8-year-old, as a 13-year-old, as an 8th grader. And you're being tried as a man because you shot him in the hip. Okay? Was that the first time you were in prison?
Juvenile.
Okay. Then did you ever go to prison as a man?
I went to prison from 15 to 19. Then I went from 19 to 25. And then I went from 25 to 33.
So you were the definition of the word recidivism. I'm sure you're familiar with that word. Are you?
Very familiar.
Okay.
Very.
For our audience, that's just a repeat offender who keeps revolving door into prison. Am I accurate in that assessment?
Very.
Okay. So you have spent very little time outside of the penal system, correct?
Yep.
So what do you know about being a dad and a father?
Your video froze. Say it again.
What? I'm sorry. What do you know about being a dad and a father? Tell me.
About being a dad
and a father.
And a father.
Same thing, different path. We'll talk more about that too. But go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you. I only know what, because even though life ain't been, cookies and cream, there was still like my great grandfather, a swamp man. My dad, Louisiana, my dad never got in no trouble. He worked on a farm. And so I still had those pieces. And so
honorable people that you look at as benchmarks. So you have that history. You see, we're not always lost. But is it fair? Would your dad tell his wife, your mother?
Yeah.
Would he tell her, do it my way? Even if I don't know what I'm doing, do it the way I want to do it. Would he tell her that? Then why do you tell people around you that if they don't agree with you? It's that devil in you. It's that warring for your soul that you're subscribing to, that you want others to subscribe to. You're not wrong. There's no real right or wrong here. It's wrong that you keep doing something to hurt somebody, or talk to them a certain way or treat them a certain way if there's no foundation for it. That's wrong. But you only are doing what you were taught, brother, what you were conditioned to. That's not an excuse. It's just an obvious truth. You were conditioned to be bad. You were conditioned to be my ride or die because I'm a soldier. And that's more important than me care about how you feel or about your outcomes or prioritizing what is important to me in life, like your family is number one of all things. You say that, but you have to also complete those deeds that complements what you're saying. You just can't say that my family is the most important thing in the world and then you do nothing about it. Right. That makes zero sense. And sometimes you can't do anything about it. Sometimes you're in circumstance where you cannot do anything about it. But having the right attitude about it is still doing something about it. Learning how to accomplish things with your family and lead your family or develop your family or develop your friends or your workplace or people around you or change yourself. Those things are doable. They're very doable. You were like the track star, you were the football guy, you were an athlete, you were a ladies' man, and then they kicked you out because you wanted to be a little grown, you said. You want to sleep with as many women as you could. Was that it?
I wasn't supposed to be around them, and I was, and I got kicked out trying to.
Now, and that's funny. It is gregariously talked about in places and circles, but did that do your life any damage for not having that discipline and that knowledge that maybe had you listened to your dad and your granddad, you would have probably never did that, don't you think?
Yeah.
Didn't they tell you, boy, get your ass out of there because you're going to get in trouble? You ever hear that before?
Yeah.
Okay. But you did it anyway. right?
I mean, in the beginning, when I first got there, I was running away. I was escaping I escaped out the place like twice.
We're gonna talk. Wait a minute. You're in school, you're doing well, you're doing track. Ask yourself this question, and we'll get to this on our next session, I promise you.
Yeah.
We're gonna kind of wind down here in a minute, but ask yourself this. You were in a place, you're getting meals, you were getting education, there were girls, and you were just good at sneaking around instead of, getting caught. Oh, and then there was food, there was discipline and structure, and there were people who were actually trying to see you do well. And then outside, crime, troubles, problems. People didn't care about you. Nobody wanted you in their house. They didn't know where to put you. What were you escaping from? More importantly, what were you escaping to?
Well, I was escaping from blanket parties.
So they
And
gave you blanket parties in school.
well, the thing is, you lived in a cottage, you lived in a dorm or division, and at nighttime, it got really bad for the few 2 or 3 black people that was in those cottages out of 18 people. So I was climbing out of windows and leaving.
Okay.
For
So they
that.
beat your ass every night.
You got to fight,
Okay.
But
did you report it?
No.
Because you would have been a snitch, and being a snitch upon the people who are destroying you makes you a bad thing, right? That's their rule.
Yep, that's right. And
that's not real. That is not a real thing.
At 40, I know.
Exactly.
Yeah, at 40, I know. But then I'm not telling that. So I stole everything that I needed. A coat, I needed some shoes, I needed those things. I went in somebody else's locker, and I got a butter knife. Me and another guy that was from Fort Wayne, and we walked down them country back roads and them back roads in Indiana at nighttime. And but I didn't want to. It was a color thing always.
Yeah. Racism does play a huge part in our penal system in America. I think it's one of the lowest points of life for towards the American dream. I always tell people that the American dream, in order to experience it, you have to be asleep. Because it's just a dream.
Yeah.
American existence is based on a lot of things, and we'll talk about that too. Listen, we only have a couple minutes left, and Kelly will absolutely shoot me, so I have to look in this thing here and read this thing verbatim. I really do.
Okay.
I don't want to mess it up for myself or anybody for that matter, but I'm enjoying our conversations, Montez. I really am. But if you enjoyed and got something out of today's session, please show us some love by sharing the video, subscribing to our channel, and liking it. Our next norm therapy session will be this Thursday with Montez, January 18th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, U.S. If you're interested in norm therapy sessions, they can be purchased online at normtherapy.com for $100 per session. We have norm therapists around the world who can take your calls and work with you in norm therapy. Less than traditional counseling charges, norm therapy normally fall under. Most charges are between $120 and $200 per session. The difference between us and traditional counseling is that we specify or specifically focus on abuse care and not mental health conditions and maladies. And also for people who've experienced abuse in their lives. That's what we focus on championing 21 types of abuse, and you can learn more about them at GoArrow, GoArrow.org, GoArrow. ARO stands for Abuse Refuge Org. So GoArrow.org. You can learn about the different types of abuse we are championing. Plus, you can go to normtherapy.com to read more as well. Thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you again on Thursday. And Montez, I want to thank you for your candidness, your participation, and I think you're going to be fun. I think you're going to be a fun guy to talk to. If you stay honest and truthful and you accept the fact that I'm never going to try and put you down or hurt you, but what I will do is challenge you and call you out. And it's okay to be called out when someone actually cares about you. Nobody's trying to make you a bitch, if that's what they would say in prison. Okay.
Okay.
But I am trying to make you see that sometimes you'll hurt people by you treating them like they're the bitch. Get it?
I
Okay.
get it.
All right, brother. Good talking to you. Thank you all for joining and listening. Don't forget to click like and share and blah, 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 and 500 more words. I will talk to you on Thursday, okay?
All right. All right.